Okie Tamikskanatani. It is the morning of December 18th, 2014, in the last bit of the moon. We're about to enter into Misamikoko Miatos, the long night's moon, which is when the winter solstice occurs. And I'm here at Sspopiikimi doing my weekly roundabout phenology survey. It's currently 1 degree above zero in Sspopiikimi, and there are a bunch of actually there's a bunch of, I think they're crows passing at the moment. Yeah, they're crows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 crows. In the skies out here. Most of the crows usually head south for the winter, and then we just get the ravens up here. So it's quite odd for me to be seeing a murder of crows flying overhead right now. So that's a mystery right there. There's a lot of geese in the sky. I don't know if you can see, but there's some passing right now. As I pulled in, there was quite a few geese coming up off of the river, and there was a couple of magpies at the parking lot when I pulled in, but as I got out of my Jeep, they took off. I'm always looking to see what what's new according to the magpies. Oh, here come a bunch of geese off the river right now. The Christmas bird count is coming up. I believe it's on the 23rd, the Audubon Christmas bird count. Actually, the Christmas bird counts, the annual counts have already started, and I run one on the blood reserve that we're going to conduct tomorrow. But I think the one here in Lethbridge is on the 23rd, so I'll be out here on the 23rd covering this area, my usual area for the bird count. And I got to note that I got to get out here earlier so I can get a count of all the geese before they leave the water. Anyway, just gonna take the usual circuit around today and see if I bump into anything new. Yeah, as I'm walking along here, the magpies are staying ahead of me. There's one right over here. There's another over in this tree over here. And there's another up in this tree over right here. And they're kind of staying out of my line of sight. But they're following me a bit. I'm going to leave them a little something, since they're keeping an eye on me. They're probably hoping for some food, and I can offer them that. See, there's one right there. So I'm going to turn this off so I can set this bit of meat down. Alright, so I've just laid the meat on top of these posts here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts that I've left some meat on. Some dry meat that I bring just specifically to offer to the magpies, because I like to pay them for the assistance that they give me. And just down here on the wide south pool, and the other week John Nightingale and I were down here, and we were noticing all the tracks that were left on the mean, this wide south pool is just absolutely filled with tracks. So filled you don't even really notice. But from above, from the cut bank, we can see it. And I speculated at that time that it was coyote tracks, but I'm standing on the ice now, and what I'm looking at here is not a coyote. I should have just come down here and checked it out last time we were here, but this is clearly goose tracks. Sspopiikimi, Canada goose. So that actually makes a lot of sense, and it makes a lot of sense why there's so many tracks. I was thinking, gee, the coyote are getting pretty desperate circling this wide south pool again and again and again. But no, it's not the coyotes at all. It's the Canada geese. Just trusting that the ice will hold me. I want to go over this way to the muskrat house. Muskrat lodge, you can see it there. I want to see if there's any evidence that the muskrats have been out during this time. Alright, I'm here at the muskrat lodge, and I'm not seeing any evidence that they have been outside of the lodge since the last snow, but then on the other hand, there's really not enough of that snow remaining to really call it anything, whether it happened or not, or whether they've been out or not. It's really hard to say because the snow has kind of melded into ice, or the stuff that hasn't has just kind of turned to this very feathery ice crystals. One thing that's interesting to notice is the contrast that you see here between the south facing side of the muskrat lodge and the north facing side. I mean, that's a big difference in terms of what's, you know, the cool and the warmth, and what's facing the sun. The sun is over this way, and does definitely do its job at melting. And I saw the same thing actually today as I was passing the beaver lodge. The south side of the beaver lodge is all clear of ice, and the north side is has those ice crystals still packed on it. Anyway, I'm gonna head over here to the spring and hopefully not surprise a bunch of ducks. Well, I'd like to see the ducks, but hope I don't make them fly away. We'll see if I can get a heads up on them if they're there before I reach the spring. Then I'll back away. Some geese flying by right now. It's just been waves of geese going over. Some of them high, that are obviously going from just one side of the river valley to the other, and some of them much lower. Oh yes, there are ducks over here. I can get a heads up, and there's more than the two that I'm used to seeing. It's more than just the one couple. So yeah, I'm gonna back off, go this way, and get up above them on the levee to get a count of just how many are there. But I don't want to wreck their spot. There's very little calm open water. There's a bunch of open water on the river, but you know, that stuff is flowing, and these ducks just like to dabble in the water. So this little spring here is a really nice place for them, and I don't want them to have to take off. Alright, so from this vantage point up here, I'm seeing at least 4 males and 3 females. Mallards, Mixagutsi. There may be more in the reeds. I don't know, but definitely a larger group than have been here in the last month or so. We just had the one couple. So nice to see. In any case, I'm going to head down now into the owl wood here behind me, see if we can find the great horned owl. Well, I'm here in the owl wood. No sign of the owl so far, but the chickadees have found me out. Always on the search for food, but also very, very curious to find out what I'm doing here. Yeah, I'm just about all the way through the owlwood now, with no success finding any owls. Doesn't mean the one is not here somewhere, but I did a pretty thorough search and I got a pretty good eye for the great horned owls even when they're up against the trunks. So he just might be roosting elsewhere this afternoon. Chickadees have continued to stay close by though and keep me in line of sight. I'm gonna go check the forest main. There's always a chance that the owl might be over there for some reason. Just up on the levee now, between the forest main and the owlwood. You can hear the chickadees behind me. I'm surveying the river. I see 0 golden eyes and 0 mergansers as yet today. I am hearing a strange sound from the forest main that I don't right away recognize. So I'm going to go and search. It's very faint, but it's over this direction somewhere. Yeah, I'm still hearing it over here. Dang, whoever it was got creeped out and flew. I didn't really even recognize the flight pattern. I'm gonna go in the direction that it flew. I'll probably hang back a little bit, see if I can hear it from that direction again first, and then if I can, wander over there and see if I can figure out who it is. Alright, I think I've spotted them. There's 2 of them, at least. Right there. Right there. Let's see if I can get closer. This is too far away to identify. Yeah, I've lost sight of them. One I saw fly away, and actually when it flew away it looked like a flicker, but the sound that they were making was nothing like a flicker, so I'm not sure. The other one just has disappeared without notice. I'm in the area where they were, but I don't see them anywhere here. So I think they have properly evaded me. This is why it's really important to be sharp with the calls, the various calls of the birds that you might come across out here. I know, and I'm good with a lot of them, but not all of them. And I do get these odd occasions like this where I hear something and I don't know what the heck it is. It could be something like, there's birds that I rarely encounter down here like that brown creeper from the other few weeks back. I never had encountered one of those down here. So if I had just heard that bird, I would have had no idea. Even seeing it, I didn't really know what it was. I was speculating, and then had to take photos and go home and find out that it was a brown creeper by identifying it off the photos. There's other occasions here where I run into birds that I rarely see, like grosbeaks, for instance. I've only come across the grosbeaks down here one time, eating the seeds of a Manitoba maple, but never come across them again. If I heard the songs at a distance of the grosbeak, I'd have no idea who it was. So it's important to learn the songs of everything that you might encounter. But you know, it's much easier for me, I think, to learn those in context than to because whenever somebody records those songs, I think there's always kind of local dialects, because when I hear bird songs recorded, you know, like I have a disc of I have a lot of MP3s that someone from Calgary, who was very kind, gave me a recording she had made of birds in Alberta and covered almost every species. I have a really nice collection from the Smithsonian. I have iBird Pro on my phone, and in all of these cases I can listen to the bird songs, but a lot of them don't sound quite the same as they do right here on site. Some of them do. Some of them are really, you know, like chickadees. The black-capped chickadees, Sspopiikimis, definitely have the same songs on the recordings as they do here. But there's others like house finch that sounds completely different here. So anyway, a failed ID, and I don't know who that was here, but it's somebody I suspect that isn't here too often. So unfortunate that I couldn't get them. Alright, I'm only really like about halfway through the forest main here. But I think I see something over here by the river. I could be wrong, but it looks to me like there might be porcupine up there. I don't know, I could be wrong. I'm going to go around and make my way up. If it is a porcupine, it's much bigger than the little one we have been seeing, so it's a different one that's moved into the area. They seem to move in and out, and I don't really have the I really don't understand the pattern of their movement at all. We used to see one here regularly that we could know on sight. It was pretty distinctively colored, and we call that one peekaboo. And then it had a partner called the blonde. They eventually had babies, and we saw them one day with their babies, and then the whole family disappeared, and we didn't have porcupines here for a while. They're even now, about 4 years later, so I don't run into porcupines nearly as often as I used to when peekaboo and the blonde were here. But it looks like they're, you know, starting to make a comeback. I don't know if that is because of shift in food supply. I mean, I wouldn't imagine, because there's plenty to eat here, but I don't know. It's a mystery to me. I try to learn what I can learn from the animals themselves on site without extensive kind of interference. I mean, if somebody really wanted the answer to that, a lot of times they might put a tracking device or something on the porcupine, or at least mark it with a color. And I don't know, I just don't feel like that kind of approach, or those kind of approaches, are appropriate and respectful in our relationships with the animals. So, you know, there are ways to go about getting information a lot easier than how I do it, but ease of information doesn't necessarily mean it's quality. And if it means we have to do something that's pretty much unethical, you know, in terms of imposing our will on these animals, then I don't agree with it. Oh yes, my eye was not incorrect. There's definitely porcupine up here. So we'll check it out. It's just how big it is. Now that I'm coming up closer to it, it actually doesn't look that big. It could still be the little one that we've had, that we've been running into all season. Yeah, from farther away it looked larger, but now that I'm coming up closer on it, not so much. Well, does seem perhaps a little larger than the one we were looking at before. Yeah, I would say this one's at least another year older than that one. Porcupine, Geit Scarp in Blackfoot. Of course, the porcupine quills are traditionally used as decorative ornaments for all kinds of leather work. Before the bead, the quill was what there was to use. Sometimes I've seen a little bit of Nebraska sedge woven in with the quills as a kind of a brown color. The quills themselves might be left white, or they might be colored red, yellow. Really, there's a variety of colors, and if you find a really good example of the old quill work, it's quite brilliant. A lot of them over time have lost their, you know, their shine, their color has faded in the museum collections and such. But you occasionally come across an example that's just awesome. Over here, and I should say that quill work is kind of it's a dying art. Well, it's in danger. There are a few people still doing it, but not as many as need to be in order to keep it up. So over here, I was noticing on my way in, there's evidence that the porcupine, very likely that same one, was visiting this tree here and gnawing on the branches. Something I wanted to point out, these buds of cottonwood and poplar, you can see the little bit of yellow resin on that bud. These buds are famous for use in making something that's called balm of Gilead. Of course, not everywhere in the world called it balm of Gilead, but a lot of places in the northern hemisphere use the resin from these buds in creating a balm, a healing balm. And the way that you do it is this time of year, kind of in the middle of winter, you gather a whole bunch of these buds, and I always try to take them, like, this is a live tree. This tree is still connected here. This is not a fallen tree, even though it's touching the ground here. It's just kind of leaned out over the levee. So I wouldn't collect from this tree. But when we get in the midwinter, sometimes we get some good storms, or it just gets so cold that some tree that's been bug eaten by the borer beetles for so long just cracks and falls down. Even a good branch, a live branch that cracks and falls down and has some buds on it, that's what I collect from. The stuff that's fallen. And you collect a whole bunch of that. You put it in a jar. Like, you can fill the jar maybe halfway with the buds, even more full if you want to, and then fill it with oil all around the buds, and you gotta kind of just leave it in that oil for, like, I've left it in sometimes for 2 years to get a good amount of the that balsam resin into the oil. And then of course you can take wax, or you can take fat and kind of thicken it into a balm, and you apply that balm on, you know, all kinds of different injuries. It's basically a antiseptic salve. Yeah, you can use it for all kinds of things. So that's a good winter medicine to work on. But like I said, I try to take from the trees that have fallen, or the branches that have fallen. That way I'm not taking from the you know, the buds that are potentially going to be involved in producing new trees in the future. Alright, I have come across a scene here in the wet meadows. There goes the magpie. There's actually 3 magpies when I came up here, kind of checking out the bulrushes down here, searching for probably frozen insects and such. So I'm just going to make my way down here and see if I can see anything on the bulrushes myself that they might have been eaten. I've seen this kind of behavior before, not with the magpies, but with the yellow rump warblers. After the first kind of freezes of winter, I've seen them go along the water's edge and check the bulrushes and other plants for frozen aphids and these kind of things. It doesn't surprise me at all to see the magpies doing this as well, because they're usually very keen to take advantage. They're opportunists, and they'll take advantage of whatever situation, whatever food is available. Anyway, I'm going to go down here and see what I can see. Alright, I'm currently standing in the area where the magpies were poking around, and I'm not seeing a lot, but I am seeing something. Here, for example, is on this bulrush stem here, what is a small insect, and this is not even an insect that is frozen. It's quite alert. I'm going to try to take a macro photograph of it, but it could be that there's some kind of hatching of these small midges or whatever they are here, these small little flies, and this could very well be what the magpies are after. I'm going to move around a little bit and see if I can find more of the same, because I have on past occasions when I've come across several magpies pecking around in some area, what I've found is that there is an insect hatch going on. So I wouldn't doubt if that's what's going on here. I'm going to look around a little bit more and see if I can get a macro pic at least of this one. Oh yeah, even while I'm moving to pull out my camera, I'm noticing others of the same. This is definitely, there's some kind of hatching going on here. You can see here, it might be a small beetle. I'm going to get out my camera, my macro, and start really taking some photos. Alright, so there's actually more than one thing occurring here on the ice. That was a little beetle that I saw. I took some good photographs of it, I think, but there's these other insects that I'm seeing that are these kind of gray color, and I'm not quite sure what they are. They don't look like a beetle to me. They don't look like a fly. I have no idea what they are. There's some kind of little insect, and I've been taking some macro pictures of them too, so hopefully I'll have some good, sharp, clear images. But there's definitely either an awakening or a hatching of them as well. So a couple of things going on down here, and that just shows you how how aware the magpies are, that they would even notice these, but they do. They notice everything. So it's always good when you see the magpies up to something to go and check it out, because this is a phenological event that's happening here. Whatever this is, whatever these animals are, they are, this is something that you don't expect an insect hatch in the middle of winter, but there may just be these certain species that take advantage of 1 or 2 degrees above zero to reproduce. It's always pretty fascinating to me to see these things. Yeah, so the question, well, one of the important questions is always going to be, what's going on here today? We visited last time and there was something going on last time, but every day, even moment to moment, things are changing, and the flow of real time never stops. Doesn't stop for winter, pick back up in summer. It's just always going. There's always something happening. And so when you keep this question in mind, you're going to keep learning, right? And that's what my whole objective is just to keep learning incrementally. Even if the only thing I had gotten today was to come out, go on the ice, and see that the prints that we were looking at last week are actually goose prints, not coyote prints. That's an important piece of information for me, because I won't be making that mistake again. It's good to make mistakes. It's good to find out that you're wrong and to be corrected, because that's when the learning takes place. That's when a lot of it takes place, is when you make some kind of assumption or you do something the wrong way and it doesn't work out, and you've got to adjust. And so today, what did I learn? Well, for starters coming in, there was the murder of crows. I don't see murder of crows here in the winter, so that's just a little mystery out here. What else did I learn? Like I mentioned, saw the goose prints, and now I know what those are. If I see them in the future, with so many on that wide south pond like that, my first assumption is going to be goose and not coyote, as it was before. But it's always good to check if you can. Seen that there's a few more mallards here than we've had the last little while. Did not run into, a lot of the ones that we have been typically running into. Didn't run into any of the flickers today. Didn't see that robin that we had seen. Didn't see the downy woodpecker. But we did find a porcupine, another porcupine, a different one than the one that we've been seeing. So we know there's another porcupine in the area, and I'm going to be checking now along that edge, monitoring that one. And then the magpies helped us out and showed us an insect phenomenon that was going on. And I did see several more of those beetles on my way out, and a lot of those little gray, whatever they are. I'm going to work my pictures on my computer, send them into BugNet, and get some identifications, hopefully, on both of those species, or as close as identification as we can from those photographs, and I'll include them with this video so that everybody's learning what I'm learning about what's going on here, and that, you know, in the future when I come to tests, I'm going to be looking out for that hatching to happen again. This is how I go about incrementally, slowly, week by week, learning more and more about the nature of my region. It's just a matter of getting out here and having open eyes and allowing the animals to teach you, and you're gonna keep learning. It's a good thing. Yeah, it just came to mind, I should mention before I head out here, one last note that, you know, just in case there's any entomologists who check this out, that I'm well aware that beetles don't hatch out into their adult form like that. So those little tiny little black beetles, they may be emerging from a metamorphosis from their larva state, or it may just be that the warmth is allowing them to kind of unfreeze and get back to business. Maybe their business out there right now is eating those little gray insects. Those gray insects, I suspect, are some kind of larva. Actually, I don't suspect that's an adult form of anything. But like I said, I'm going to put the photos up on BugNet and see what kind of identifications we can come up with there, and then we'll know more. Okay, so here are the couple of insects that I had photographed on the pond today. I haven't got IDs for both of them yet. In particular, I haven't got IDs for this little beetle. This is the first insect that I saw out there. Very, very tiny beetle with a neck shaped very much like a sidewalk carabid. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised to learn that this is some kind of a carabid beetle. But I have put the image up on itsbugguide.net. This is a place where you can go if you want to figure out an insect. They have a massive photo database of insects of North America that's really well organized, and a lot of times you can just search through the photo index and find what it is that you're seeing. But if you can't find what it is you're seeing, they have a system where you can upload a photo, and experts, entomologists, and hobbyists will respond to your image, and usually they can identify it, especially an adult insect. It's when you come to larvae and nymphs and such that they have some problems with. So this one I do expect to get an identification from, but I have not received one yet, and so we'll see what ultimately comes up. But this, and it's a little bit blurry around the head region and such, but I should hopefully be able to get an ID from these guys, especially given the circumstances and the size of the beetle itself. All right, here is the other insect that I was seeing, and this one I did get a partial identification for, and what the guys on BugNet or bugguide.net are saying is that this is probably, well, this is definitely a Planthopper Nymph. Planthopper Nymph. And there were a lot of these out there on the pond. In fact, I suspect that's probably what the magpies were mostly after. There were some beetles, some of those little beetles there as well. But most of what I was seeing out there were these Planthopper nymphs, both dead and alive, mostly alive. So that's what they're saying this one is, and they don't know exactly what species yet, but hopefully I will get a species identification. My guess, if it, you know, of what they're going to come back with for a species identification when they do, is that it's going to be this guy, who I have seen out there. This is a photograph that I myself took. This is what's called a Querna leaf hopper, and I find these out there at the pond fairly often, and so it wouldn't surprise me at all to learn that this is the adult, fully developed form of the Planthopper nymph that were out on the ice today. So I'm getting somewhere with the mystery, not entirely solved, but I wanted to put up the video, and so I wanted to tell you and show you all that I had so far. And maybe in the coming week, when I make my next phenology video, I'll have more of the story of these couple of insects. And maybe not. It might be a mystery that lingers for a while yet, but at least we got somewhere with it. The tiny beetle and a Planthopper nymph definitely were the two that were on the ice.